So here we have one more situation comparing renting and buying a house. As I've said previously, sometimes it's better to rent, sometimes it's better to buy, and that all depends on your individual situation. So what we have is that Helen and Tim bought a house for $249,900. They've negotiated a mortgage of 95% of the purchase price, meaning they need a 5% down payment. The interest on the mortgage is compounded semi-annually at 5.5%, has a 20-year term, and needs monthly payments. Don and Pat, however, they are renting a house. They pay $1,600 per month, and they will look at this lease that they have signed yearly. Now, after 3 years, both couples decide to move. Helen and Tim discover the value of their house has depreciated, meaning gone down by 10% over the 3 years. And we need to compare the couple's situation. The easiest way to do that is looking at the monthly payment amounts. So Don and Pat, they pay $1,600 a month. They don't have to worry about house insurance, property taxes, anything like that, because those will be paid by the landlord. Helen and Tim, they will need to pay for insurance on their house. They will need to pay for property taxes to the town or city that they live in, so that will be an extra cost. We don't know how much that is, and that may come into play later on. But we can figure out their mortgage payments. What we know, they bought the house for $249,900, but their mortgage was a 5% down payment. So to figure out the actual amount of the mortgage they got, we need to figure out their down payment. So $249,900, their purchase price, times by the 5% down payment that they made, means they made a down payment out of their pocket of $12,495. So then their mortgage amount would be the purchase price of $249,900 minus the down payment, so their mortgage would be for $237,405. That will be their present value. We know the mortgage is compounded semi-annually, which means twice per year. The interest is at 5.5%. It has a 20-year term and needs monthly payments. So the total number of payments, 20 times 12, 240. We are going to figure out their monthly payment amount. The final value will be zero because we're working out the whole term of this mortgage. It doesn't matter that they're going to move in 3 years because they won't have paid off this entire house in 3 years. Payments per year, they'll be making 12 payments per year. So now we can go and we can figure out their monthly payments. Same place as before, the finance apps, TVM Solver, 240 payments, 5.5% interest, present value of $237,405, and 2 compounds per year. Quitting out of that, going back into the finance app, finding the payment amount, and we get a monthly payment on this mortgage of $1,624.78. So as is usually the case, the mortgage is a little bit more expensive than the lease, only by $25 a month. However, with the mortgage, They do need this down payment of $12,495. With Don and Pat's lease, they do not. They likely only need a damage deposit, which would be $1,600 a month, same as 1 month's payment. If both of these families were deciding to stay in the same house for more than 3 years, it could be worth it to pay that extra $25 a month on the mortgage. However, after 3 years, they've decided to move. And the downside to the mortgage on this one is that the value of the house has depreciated by 10%. Means it's no longer worth $249,900, it's worth 10% less than that. That may be a deciding factor. Now, as I've said before, the value of real estate generally does not go down, and even when it does decrease, it only is for a couple of years, and then it turns around and increases again. So if they were to stay in this house for another 3 years, they'd likely find that the value of their house had increased. What's the better option? Again, up to the individual circumstances. I've added a bit of a twist here, saying that they will leave after 3 years. That may be enough to say, you know what, I'm going to rent this house. It might be different, and you might say, well, this is just one situation. In this time frame, the value of the house depreciated, but maybe I'm looking at it at a different time. Maybe I'm looking at a time where the value of the house has increased. And again, I'm not going to make the judgment for you. I'm just going to lay out all the pros and cons of them. You make the judgment yourself.